The story begins with Lang, known as Dragon, organizing and preparing his peers for the annual Golden Egg Challenge in China. This competition is renowned for the participation of the most prominent youths from various martial arts schools. Dragon is famously known for losing this tournament every year due to his evasion of school exercises and preoccupation with play. The primary objective of the competition is to reach and gain control of the golden egg, with victory awarded to the first team that succeeds. The golden egg is suspended in an exceedingly high place, comparable in height to the Eiffel Tower. The competition indeed commenced, and all the young men dashed at maximum speed toward the egg, transforming the venue into a scene of utter chaos. The entire city's population was present to watch the tournament, cheering for Dragon's team in the hope of a victory. The competitors exchanged fierce combat using every possible method, employing Chinese kung fu skills to secure the egg. All the teams strove to reach the golden egg by any means necessary. Consequently, some participants sustained severe injuries, even broken bones due to the opponent's attacks. The competition was highly intense. In the midst of the battle, Dragon's extraordinary skills and speed shined through. He exhibited limitless power, running tirelessly as if he were a horse. He surpassed the students of the rival schools and seized the egg from them in a flash. He sprinted like a rocket and ultimately succeeded in winning the tournament with extreme difficulty. With this triumph, he secured victory for his team and school, astonishing all the city's inhabitants with the first achievement in his career. All his friends celebrated him with immense joy. Upon their return to the city, they were surprised to encounter Master Tin, who commanded them to go back to school to continue training in readiness for an upcoming martial arts football competition. However, they managed to outwit and overpower him to get his permission to depart. Dragon conversed with Mars about the girl they both held affection for. He explained that she threatened their friendship because they both loved her, and Dragon promised Mars that he would step back and not approach her. Mars thanked him for his word. While the girl was walking alone, two thugs appeared and began harassing her and attempting to assault her. Mars seized the chance to demonstrate his strength and resolved to defend her to earn her admiration. But the surprise was Dragon appearing suddenly, like a shadow, and rescuing her from the thugs before Mars could intervene. Regrettably, Mars was nearly consumed by rage because Dragon had pledged to leave the girl to him, but he betrayed him and broke his promise. Mars began violently attacking Dragon to claim his right. Despite the deep friendship that once united them, the two fought fiercely and exchanged painful blows over the girl. The scene erupted into disorder, and the entire market gathered around them. Master Tin appeared just in time and managed to forcefully stop the fight. In this way, Dragon lost his dearest friend. The girl also left, and his father expressed his anger towards him. A short time later, Master Tin administered a surprise test to his son Dragon at school, knowing him to be a failing student who didn't study. At the start of the exam, Dragon resorted to cheating from inside his shoe, like a habitual cheat. Furthermore, the corrupt teacher intervened to secretly assist him, giving him some answers that emerged from beneath the floor to help him in his moment of need. The answer sheet was even affixed to his father's back so he could copy from it. Indeed, Dragon managed to pass the test with extreme effort. Subsequently, Master Tin took Dragon to visit Mars' father with the aim of reconciling the two friends once more. Dragon felt ashamed initially in front of Mars for betraying him and not honoring their agreement. But as time passed, the two friends reconciled again because of the strength of their bond. Mars then took Dragon on a tour inside the house to show him his father's special rifle. The two foolish friends decided to play with it, thinking it was harmless. However, they accidentally fired it, blowing a hole in the ceiling and narrowly avoiding a catastrophe. Fortunately, neither of them was harmed. The events then shift to a group of antique dealers. The criminals were surprised to find a very valuable jewel stolen from them. They harbored suspicion towards one of their members named Seward. Seward, one of the oldest members of the gang, was tricked when someone placed the stolen jewel on him without his knowledge. When the gang searched Seward, they found the stolen jewel in his safe. They thus realized he was a traitor to their trust and sought to kill him in cold blood. Seward grabbed the jewel and began running from the location like a rocket. But his former friends in the gang fiercely pursued him, forcing him to confront them to defend himself after his secret plan was exposed, though his efforts were in vain. All the gang members managed to gang up on him and were about to kill him, so he decided to flee into the forest. Unfortunately, at the same moment Seward was escaping, Mars and the mischievous young man Dragon were chasing a chicken, intending to catch it for their lunch. Unknowing, the two approached the gang's headquarters unintentionally. Moreover, they entered an area dense with plants, where Seward was also hiding. The gang, on the other hand, surrounded them from all directions, waiting for a single move. Here, the two fools, Mars and Dragon, finally caught the chicken, but they fell into the clutches of the gang and were severely beaten, as the criminals believed they were Seward's followers. Over time, the gang members realized they were just ordinary young men and left them alone. They returned to continue their search for Seward to finish him off, believing he had betrayed them and stolen their precious jewel. The following day, a badminton football match was organized in the city between Dragon's school and the rival school. Badminton football resembles football, soccer, where the winner is the one who scores more goals past the goalkeeper. However, it is distinguished by complex acrobatic moves and difficult control, demanding very high skill. Initially, the rival team dominated Dragon and his friends, executing a series of astonishing counterattacks that left the goalkeeper stunned by the goals scored. Regrettably, Dragon and his friends were losing 3-0 in the first half. But as time went on, Dragon realized the girl he admired was watching him, transforming his performance from a failing player to a highly professional footballer, like one from Brazil. He excelled in the match and scored 3 consecutive goals. Thus, the two teams were tied at 3 goals each. Unfortunately, the rival team was awarded a penalty kick in the last 10 seconds, which would have won them the match. However, fortunately, Mars, who was playing as goalkeeper, managed to save the ball skillfully. He immediately passed it to Dragon with lightning speed, and they won the match in the final second. Naturally, Dragon and his friends were overjoyed with the victory, but suddenly, Dragon kicked the ball into the audience out of excitement. It regrettably struck the face of the girl he admired, who became furious with him. Dragon was shocked and wanted to reconcile with the girl by any means, so he ran after her to speak to her. But she slammed the door in his face and dismissed him contemptuously. Here, Mars came up with a very silly yet clever idea that could help his friend Dragon. He suggested that Dragon write an apologetic letter to the girl, tie it to a kite, and fly it into her house. The girl's name was Lai. Dragon indeed wrote the apology letter and tied it to a kite with the help of his friends. However, as soon as the kite took flight, the string unfortunately snapped unexpectedly. It flew far away due to the strong wind. Dragon was, of course, frustrated and did not know what to do. But he discovered that the kite had landed on what appeared to be an abandoned house. He decided to risk his life for the letter. He scaled the house walls and entered in complete silence, like a thief. The problem was that the house Dragon entered belonged to the gang of antique dealers he had encountered before, and they were working inside with stolen artifacts. Dragon was on his mission to search for the kite on the rooftop, but while there, he made a commotion and foolishly alerted the criminals to his presence. Just as he was about to grab the kite, he was surprised to find the criminals attacking him with spears from beneath the roof, trying to kill him like a rabbit. But he evaded them with lightning speed and eventually managed to reach the kite. After Lang finally retrieved the kite and climbed down from the rooftop, he found an entire army of criminals waiting for him, surrounding him from everywhere. Furthermore, they had locked the door, leaving no escape whatsoever. Then, the gang leader appeared and told his followers to leave Dragon alone. He knew that Dragon's father was a famous kung fu master in the city, and if they killed his son, his father would hunt them down and cause them problems. Dragon quickly fled the scene in seconds, unable to believe he was still alive. Later, when Dragon returned home, he learned that his mother had gone to Lai's house to arrange her marriage to her son. As soon as Dragon heard this, he was ecstatic and rushed out of the house to meet Lai. However, at the same time, 2 members of the criminal gang were in the area. Unfortunately, Seward was gravely injured and was running away from them. The criminals then violently broke into the place and brutally attacked the poor Seward. Mars attempted to help him because he was alone, but the criminals caught Mars off guard, beating and insulting him. Naturally, Dragon was furious because Mars was his friend, and all of this was happening right in front of Lai, the girl Dragon loved. Dragon then decided to prove his courage and strength, taking on the criminals and crushing them one by one. He began fighting the criminals by himself. Unfortunately, Dragon took a beating because they outnumbered him. However, he endured the blows like a lion. He knew he could not lose this confrontation, as he would appear weak in front of everyone. He returned to the fight again like a fierce beast. He fought with unparalleled speed, like a storm, completely humiliating the criminals and dominating them all over the place. Eventually, he managed to rally the rest of his friends, intimidating the criminals and making them flee like frightened cats. Afterward, he and Mars took Seward and tried to treat his wounds. Here, we learned that Seward had been working with the gang of antique dealers, but he betrayed them because his conscience awakened. He wanted to return the stolen artifacts to the Chinese government, which is why the criminals wanted to kill him. Meanwhile, the gang leader was furious because Seward had escaped, but suddenly one of his spies informed him of Seward's location. The two gang members whom Dragon had beaten returned to the leader and reported what happened. He then ordered them to gather all the men and ammunition and completely eliminate Dragon. The next day, Dragon returned to the place where Seward was hiding and was surprised to see Mars acting strangely. At first, he didn't understand anything, but he used his sharp intellect like a genius and discovered that the gang members were hiding, planning to ambush him. Dragon pretended to be oblivious and unaware, but he re-entered the building and quietly sneaked in like a snake. At that moment, one of the gang members was about to kill Seward in cold blood, but with lightning speed, Dragon savagely attacked him. Just before the epic fight could begin, one of the gang members blindsided him and completely overwhelmed them. Seward, of course, thanked Dragon and Mars for their help, but suddenly, the real gang leader appeared. The gang leader shot Seward, completely finishing him off. This individual looked like a dangerous and merciless veteran martial arts master. Initially, Mars and Dragon underestimated him and thought they could easily defeat him, but they didn't know he was as fast as a rocket and as powerful as a beast. He easily overpowered them. Unfortunately, this fierce criminal took Mars' father hostage and threatened him with harm. Mars went mad and lost control of his temper, charging at the gang leader like a maniac. The leader exploited Mars' anger and used the most dangerous kung fu moves in all of China on him, breaking his bones and leaving him immobilized. Dragon was the only hope and felt sadness for his dear friend. He attempted to fight back for his friend's sake, but the gang leader was like a superhero whose strength was inexhaustible. As time passed, Dragon decided to unleash his true strength. Fortunately, Dragon dodged the opponent's moves and executed a deadly offensive whirlwind that could destroy an entire army. With unparalleled speed, like a storm, he brutally defeated the gang leader. He seized the right opportunity and caught him off guard in seconds. He and his friend Mars threw sacks loaded with weed onto him, suffocating him and finishing him off completely. After a short period, the entire gang of antique dealers was arrested. As Mars' father celebrated with Dragon's father, the two began playing with the weapons like a small family. Accidentally, they set off the cannon, destroying the house wall. Both Mars' father and Dragon's father became furious with them and were about to grab and punish them severely.